Welcome to this lesson. Today we are going to understand the main ideas of the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. This book teaches us how small changes can create big results over time. Many people believe that success comes from big actions or big decisions. But in real life, most progress comes from small actions repeated again and again. These actions may look very tiny in the beginning, but when you continue them every day, they slowly start building something powerful. That is why James Clear calls them atomic habits. Atomic means very small, but with strong energy inside. Just like a tiny atom contains powerful energy, one tiny action repeated daily can change your life. In this 1 hour lesson, we will focus on simple explanations. We will not use difficult English words. We will explain every idea in a way that anyone can understand. You do not need to be a fast learner to understand this. You only need to listen slowly and with attention. Everything we discuss will be connected step by step so that you can feel the story inside the book, not just the information. We will try to understand not only the ideas, but also how to apply these ideas in our daily life. Because learning is not only about understanding, it is also about changing the way we live. This lesson is not just about habits. It is about becoming the kind of person who grows every day. It is about seeing change in a gentle way. You do not have to push yourself too hard. You do not need to be perfect. You only need to take small steps every day. When you listen to this lesson, imagine that you are slowly planting seeds inside your life. These seeds will not grow overnight, but they will grow if you water them every day. And one day they will become strong habits that support your dreams. So let us start this journey together. This journey is about small improvements, gentle progress, and building a life step by step. And the very first idea we will explore is how small habits can create big results. Why small habits matter? Small habits matter because real change does not happen in one big moment. It happens slowly, through many tiny steps that repeat every day. When we focus only on big goals, we often feel pressure, fear, and stress. We think we need to do something huge to make progress. But big actions are hard to repeat. They require high motivation, and motivation does not stay strong every day. Small habits are different. They are easy to start, easy to repeat, and easy to continue. They do not demand too much energy. They do not require big motivation. You can start a small habit even on a tired day, even on a busy day. James Clear says that small improvements create big results because of something called compound growth. Compound growth means progress that grows on top of previous progress. It may feel slow in the beginning, it may feel invisible at first, but after some time, your small efforts begin to multiply. Just like interest in a bank adds up over time, small actions also add up. 5 minutes of reading every day may feel like nothing today, but after 1 year it becomes hours and hours of reading. 5 minutes of exercise every day may feel too small to make a difference, but after 1 year, your body will feel stronger. Small habits are powerful because time multiplies their effect. Small habits also shape your identity. Every small action is like a vote for the type of person you want to become. If you write one sentence every day, you are becoming a writer. If you speak 1 minute of English every day, you are becoming an English speaker. If you save one small amount of money every day, you're becoming someone who manages money well. The habit is small, but the identity it builds is big. This is why small habits matter more than big goals. Goals give direction, but habits create action. Small habits move you forward every day, even if the progress is slow, and slow progress is still progress. When you trust small habits, you do not worry about fast results. You trust the process, you trust time, you trust small growth. So the most important lesson here is this: do not wait for big changes. Do not wait for the perfect time. Start with small steps. Small habits are the foundation of long-lasting change. Identity-based habits. Identity-based habits are one of the most powerful ideas in Atomic Habits. Most people try to change their life by focusing on the outcome, like losing weight, learning English, or making more money. But outcomes are just results. Results come at the end. If your attention stays only on results, you will feel pressure and you may quit early. That is why many people start something, but stop after a few days. They think change is not happening. They think progress is not fast enough, and they lose hope. James Clear explains that real change does not start with results. Real change starts with identity. Identity means how you see yourself. Identity means the kind of person you believe you are. When you change your identity, habits become easier. If you see yourself as a healthy person, eating healthy food becomes natural. If you see yourself as a reader, reading becomes normal. If you see yourself as an English learner, practicing English becomes part of who you are. Identity makes habits natural because you are not forcing yourself. You are expressing who you are. So instead of saying, I want to learn English, say, I am the type of person who improves his English every day. This small sentence change is powerful. When you say it like this, your mind begins to accept this identity, and your actions slowly match your belief. Identity-based habits also help you stay consistent. When your identity is clear, you do not need to depend on motivation. Motivation comes and goes. Some days you feel strong, some days you feel weak, but identity stays. If you believe, I am a person who grows a little every day, then even on low energy days, you can still take one small step. One small step protects your identity. One small step protects your direction. One small step keeps you moving forward. Another important point is this: identity is built by small actions. Every time you repeat a small habit, you are giving yourself evidence. For example, every day you read one page, you are proving to yourself that you are a reader. Every day you speak 1 minute of English, you are proving to yourself that you are an English speaker. These small proofs build confidence, and confidence builds identity, and identity builds stronger habits. It becomes a positive cycle. So do not wait to become perfect. Do not wait to start big. Start with tiny actions that match the identity you want. Every small action is a vote. And when you repeat these votes every day, identity becomes real. This is how transformation begins from the inside and then shows on the outside. The power of small improvements. Many people wait for a big moment to change their life. They wait for the perfect day. They wait for the right situation. They believe that change will happen suddenly, like a big jump. But real success does not work like this. Real success is built on small steps. Even when the steps look small, they have great power over time. James Clear teaches that small improvements, repeated every day, can create huge results in the future. This idea is called the 1% better everyday concept. It means that if you improve only 1% each day, you may not see any difference in one day or even one week. But after many months, this small 1% improvement becomes big. It grows slowly, quietly, and silently. You may not notice progress in the beginning because it is very small, but every day you are building a little more strength, a little more skill, a little more discipline. And these little improvements do not disappear. They stay with you. They build on top of each other. That is why small improvements matter. This small daily progress connects to something called the compound effect. The compound effect means that small actions multiply over time. Just like money grows in a bank when interest keeps adding every month, small habits grow when you repeat them every day. If you save only a small coin each day, it will not make you rich immediately. But if you save a coin every single day for many years, soon you will have a lot of money. The same is true for habits. One day of good habit looks small, but 1 year of good habit changes your life. James Clear explains that tiny habits are more powerful than big goals. Goals are good for direction, but goals do not create change by themselves. Almost everybody has goals. Many people want to be healthy. Many people want to learn a language. Many people want to save money. But wanting something does not create success. Small everyday actions do. This is the difference between goals and habits. Goals tell you what you want. Habits show you what you are doing daily. A small habit repeated daily is stronger than a big goal that you only think about. So the lesson is simple and powerful. You do not need to do something huge to change your life. You do not need to wait for a big moment. You only need to take tiny steps every day. These tiny steps will grow. They will multiply. And after some time, they will become a strong base for your future. Small improvements matter because they shape who you are becoming, one day at a time. Compound effect. The compound effect is the idea that small actions become very powerful when they are repeated again and again for a long time. In the beginning, a small habit looks too small to matter. It looks like nothing is changing. It looks like no progress is happening. But the truth is that progress is happening quietly. It is growing slowly inside the process. It is just not visible yet. This is the secret of compound effect. It is slow in the beginning, but powerful in the future. Think of a small drop of water. One drop does not make a difference. But if water drips again and again in the same spot over many days, it can cut through a stone. Not because of force, but because of repetition. That is compound effect. Small actions repeated many times create huge results, even bigger than we can imagine at first. Many people quit their habits too early because they do not see results fast. They become impatient. They want reward now. They want changes now. But the compound effect teaches us that results come later. The beginning is always silent. In the early days, your work is invisible. But every time you repeat your small habit, you are building strength inside your identity. You are building a foundation. You are preparing your future. You are storing progress inside yourself, just like a seed planted in the soil. Even after 1 week, you do not see anything. But inside the soil, the seed is growing roots. And once the roots become strong enough, the plant appears above the ground. People who quit early do not reach this moment. They stop before the roots grow strong. But people who continue daily, even when nothing seems to change, will one day see big results. This is why the compound effect is so important. It teaches patience. It teaches long-term thinking. It teaches trust in the process. You do not have to make big change today. You only need to repeat a small habit today. If you repeat it again tomorrow, and next week, and next month, then one day the results will be much bigger than you expected. That is the power of compound effect. Tiny habits versus goals. Many people think that goals are the most important thing. They say things like, I want to lose weight, or I want to become rich. or I want to speak English fluently. But just having goals does not change your life. Goals are like dreams. They show you the direction you want to go, but they do not move your feet forward. A goal is something you want. A habit is something you do. This is a very big difference. One is a wish, the other is an action. Tiny habits are stronger than big goals because tiny habits work every day. Goals only sit in the mind. Goals are far in the future, but tiny habits happen in the present moment. Tiny habits are small enough that you can actually do them today, not someday. If you want to become healthier, a tiny habit could be to walk for 5 minutes. If you want to become an English speaker, a tiny habit could be to practice English for 2 minutes. If you want to save money, a tiny habit could be to save one small coin every day. These tiny actions are not impressive on day one, but they are powerful over time. Goals can sometimes create pressure. Goals can make you feel like you are not good enough until you reach the goal. You might think, I will be happy only when I reach the final result. But tiny habits already give you success today. Every time you repeat a small habit, you are making progress. Progress makes you feel motivated. Progress builds identity. Progress keeps you moving forward. This is why tiny habits are more important than goals. A goal tells you what you want in the future. A habit tells you what you are doing today. Big goals may look beautiful on paper, but tiny habits create real change in real life. When you repeat these tiny habits every day, you get closer and closer to your goals without stress, without pressure, and without heavy force. Tiny habits are gentle. Tiny habits are realistic. Tiny habits are consistent. And consistency is what builds success. So remember this simple idea. Goals show you the destination, but tiny habits are the steps that take you there. Dreams happen in the future, but habits happen in the present. If you build tiny habits today, your future will slowly change by itself. Identity-based habits. Identity outcome. I am the type of person who, mindset, how behavior follows identity. Identity-based habits mean that real change begins with who you believe you are. Most people try to change their life by focusing on the result first. They think about the outcome like, I want to lose weight, or I want to speak English fluently, or I want to become rich. But results are only the final picture. Results are the end point. They come later. Identity is the starting point. Identity is the beginning. Identity is the root of change. If you only focus on outcomes, you may feel stressed because outcomes often take time. Outcomes do not happen quickly. Outcomes need patience. And when you wait for results, your mind can become tired. You may feel like your work is not working. You may feel like nothing is happening. But identity-based habits are different. When you focus on who you want to become, change feels more natural. You are not chasing results anymore. You are building a new version of yourself. This is why the mindset, I am the type of person who, is so important. This sentence helps you connect your actions to your identity. So instead of saying, I want to learn English, you say, I am the type of person who learns English every day. Instead of saying, I want to exercise, you say, I am the type of person who moves my body every day. When you speak like this, you are telling your mind who you are. And when your mind believes something, your behavior begins to follow that belief. Identity always comes before behavior. You act based on who you think you are. If you think you are lazy, you will act lazy. If you think you are weak, you will act weak. If you think you cannot learn, you will not try. But if you believe you are someone who improves daily, then small actions become easier. You do not need heavy motivation. You do not need extreme discipline. You just act like the person you believe you are. Identity guides your choices. Every small action you take is a vote for your identity. Each small habit is like saying, "This is who I am becoming." When you read one page, you strengthen the identity, "I am a reader." When you practice English even for 2 minutes, you strengthen the identity, "I am an English learner." When you drink water every morning, you strengthen the identity, "I care about my health." These small votes build a stronger identity day by day. So do not wait to feel like a new person. Start acting like the new person now. Small actions will grow into strong beliefs, and strong beliefs will grow into new habits. Identity first, action next, and results will follow naturally. The 4 laws of habit building. Before we go into each law, we first need to understand the full idea. James Clear explains that every habit follows a simple pattern. If we want to build good habits that last, we must make them easy for our brain to repeat. To do that, we organize our habits into 4 steps, and each step is one law. These 4 laws are: 1. Make it obvious. 2. Make it attractive. 3. Make it easy. 4. Make it satisfying. These 4 laws are like 4 tools. When these 4 tools are used together, habits become stronger and more natural. It is like building a small habit system inside your daily life, not randomly, but with intention. It is important to remember that these 4 laws are not separate ideas that stand alone. They work like a chain. Each law supports the next one. They connect to each other. So when you apply them, you must apply them in the right order. First, we make the habit easy to see. Second, we make the habit feel attractive or pleasant. Third, we remove difficulty so the habit becomes easy to do. Fourth, we reward the habit so the brain wants to repeat it again tomorrow. So we do not jump into the habit blindly. We organize it. We design it. We plan it. We guide our brains step by step. We do not depend on motivation. We build a system. These 4 laws are the structure of that system. This structure will help you turn one small habit into a daily routine without stress. Now we will go one by one into these laws, and we will connect each law to the next law so that you can understand how they fit together like pieces of a puzzle. Make it obvious. The first law of building a good habit is to make it obvious. This means your habit should be easy to notice. It should be clear. It should be visible in front of your eyes. Most people fail to build a habit not because they are weak, but because the reminder to do the habit is not clear. They simply forget. Their habit stays inside their mind as a thought, not in their environment as a signal. So the first step in making a habit strong is to bring the habit into the light. You must make the habit stand out. Our brain responds to cues. A cue is something that reminds you to take action. For example, if your alarm rings, that is a cue to wake up. If you see your water bottle on your desk, that is a cue to drink water. If your English notebook is open on your table, that is a cue to study. When a habit has a clear cue, it becomes much easier to start. So we do not wait for motivation. We create cues around us that guide us. We organize our environment like a silent teacher that gives us reminders. To make a habit obvious, we must design our surroundings. If you want to read more, keep your book on your pillow. So when you go to bed, you see it. If you want to drink more water, place a bottle next to where you sit. If you want to learn English daily, keep your notebook on your table, not inside a drawer. When the habit is visible, your brain pays attention. When the habit is hidden, your brain ignores it. That is why environment is stronger than motivation. Another way to make habits obvious is Habit stacking. This means you attach your new habit to an existing habit. For example, after I brush my teeth, I will read for 5 minutes. After I make tea, I will practice English for 2 minutes. After I finish dinner, I will write one sentence in my journal. This method works because your brain already knows when you brush, when you drink tea, when you eat dinner. So you are linking a new habit to an old habit. The old habit becomes the reminder for the new habit. When a habit is obvious, you do not need to push yourself every day. The environment and cues do the work for you. You just follow automatically. This is the first step, and it is important to make the habit visible before we move to the next law. Because if you cannot see the habit clearly, you will not take action consistently. Now that we understand how to make a habit obvious, the next step is to make the habit attractive. Because when a habit feels attractive and interesting, your brain will want to repeat it. Make it attractive. The second law of building a good habit is to make it attractive. When a habit feels enjoyable, we want to repeat it. When a habit feels boring or dull, we avoid it. This is how the human brain works. We are naturally pulled toward pleasant things, and we move away from uncomfortable things. So if we want a habit to stay in our life for a long time, we must make it feel interesting, enjoyable, or emotionally positive. When a habit feels good, we repeat it. When a habit feels heavy, we stop. James Clear explains that habits are easier to repeat when your brain connects them with something positive. For example, suppose you want to practice English daily. You can make this habit more attractive by connecting it with something you already enjoy. If you like music, listen to English songs. If you like stories, listen to English stories. If you like videos, watch English YouTube clips. This creates a feeling of joy around the habit, and your brain begins to look forward to it. Another idea is called temptation bundling. It means you combine a habit you should do with a habit you already enjoy. For example, you can tell yourself, I will only watch my favorite show while I walk on the treadmill. Or, I will drink a cup of my favorite tea while I study English. This way, your brain begins to connect the good feeling of something you like with the new habit you want to build. The enjoyment becomes a reward inside the habit, not after the habit. You can also make habits attractive by joining a group where the behavior is normal. If you surround yourself with people who read, you will feel like reading. If you are around people who exercise, exercise becomes normal to you. If you connect with people who are learning English, you will naturally feel like speaking and practicing. Humans copy what they see around them. The environment shapes our desires. So choose people and surroundings that support the identity you are building. The more attractive a habit feels, the easier it is to start it and repeat it. This step is important because even if a habit is obvious, if it does not feel exciting or pleasant, your brain will not want to do it daily. So first we make a habit obvious, then we make it attractive. These two steps work together. One step helps you notice the habit. The next step helps you enjoy the habit. And when a habit is both visible and enjoyable, the brain begins to repeat it naturally. Now we move forward to the next law, which will help us remove difficulty, because even when a habit is obvious and attractive, if it feels too hard, we still avoid it. Make it easy. The third law of building a good habit is to make it easy. Even if a habit is obvious and attractive, if it feels difficult, the brain will try to avoid it. Our brain always chooses the easiest option. It looks for the shortest path. It looks for less effort. That is why many good habits fail, not because people are weak, but because the habit feels too heavy to start. When something requires a lot of energy, motivation, planning, or preparation, we often delay it or skip it completely. This is why James Clear teaches us that we must reduce friction. Friction means anything that creates difficulty. For example, if your workout clothes are in a suitcase, you will not exercise easily. But if your clothes are ready on your chair, it becomes easier to start. If your English notebook is inside a bag, you might forget about it. But if the notebook is open on your table, you can start in seconds. The easier it is to begin, the more likely you will do it. Another important idea is to make the habit very small in the beginning. Instead of reading for 1 hour, start with 2 minutes. Instead of exercising for 30 minutes, start with 5 minutes. Instead of writing a full page, write one sentence. These tiny actions may feel too small, but small is the secret. When the habit is tiny, it becomes easy to repeat, and repetition is what matters. Success is not about doing more in one day. Success is about doing something every day. James Clear calls this the 2-minute rule. If the habit takes less than 2 minutes to start, you will not resist it. For example, study English every day for 2 minutes. Once you begin the habit, your brain warms up. Many times after 2 minutes, you continue longer naturally. But the goal is not to force yourself. The goal is to make the habit easy to begin. If starting is easy, continuing becomes natural. You can also make habits easy by removing steps between you and the habit. If you want to drink more water, keep bottles in different rooms. If you want to eat fruit, wash and cut it in advance. If you want to read, keep your book next to your bed. When you reduce steps, your habit becomes lighter. When you add steps, your habit becomes heavy. So first you make it obvious, then you make it attractive, and now you make it easy. When a habit is visible, enjoyable, and simple, you remove resistance. Your brain will not fight. Your brain will not complain. Your brain will not delay. The habit becomes smooth. Now we move to the final law, because even if a habit is obvious, attractive, and easy, there is one more thing that makes it stick. It must feel satisfying. Make it satisfying. The fourth law of building a good habit is to make it satisfying. Our brain likes pleasure. When an action feels good, the brain remembers it. When the brain remembers it, it wants to repeat it again. This is why habits become strong when we feel a positive emotion after doing them. Reward creates repetition. If something gives you a good feeling, your brain says, "Do this again." If something feels boring, painful, or empty, your brain says, "Avoid this." So to make a good habit stay in your life, you must make the end of the habit feel satisfying. One simple way to make habits satisfying is to celebrate small wins. After finishing your habit, you can smile, say, "Good job," mark a tick on a paper, or record your progress in an app. These small moments of celebration create a positive emotion inside you. It tells your brain that this action is meaningful and valuable. You do not need a big reward. Even a small, gentle reward is enough to send a message to your brain that this habit is giving you a benefit. Habit tracking is another powerful method. When you mark your habit every day, you create a chain of progress. You can see how many days you have continued. Seeing the progress keeps you motivated. You do not want to break the chain. You want to keep going. This creates a feeling of success, even when the habit is very small. It turns habit repetition into a small moment of achievement every day. You can also make habits satisfying by connecting them with your identity. When you finish your habit, you can remind yourself, "Yes, I am becoming the kind of person I want to be." This emotional connection is very powerful. It tells your brain that the habit is not just an action, it is part of who you are becoming. It is part of your story. This creates deeper satisfaction than any external reward. The last important idea here is that the reward must come soon, not later. If the result comes too far in the future, your brain will not connect the habit with a good feeling. So try to create a small positive moment immediately after the habit. For example, enjoy a moment of calm after exercise, enjoy a warm drink while reading, or feel proud after finishing your 2 minutes of English practice. These small moments of satisfaction keep the brain interested. So now we have the full set of 4 laws. First, we make the habit obvious, then attractive, then easy, and finally satisfying. These 4 steps create a complete system for building habits that last. Good habits do not depend on motivation. Good habits depend on design. When we design our habits using these 4 laws, change becomes gentle, natural, and continuous. Make bad habits hard. Just like we design good habits by making them obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying, we also need to understand something very important. Every good habit we build has a direct opposite. That opposite is a bad habit. And bad habits also grow quietly in our life the same way good habits do. The difference is, bad habits usually feel easy, they feel tempting, and they give quick pleasure. So if we want real progress, we cannot only build good habits, we must also weaken the bad habits that slow us down. We do this by reversing the same 4 laws we used before. The first idea is understanding how our environment affects habits. The environment shapes behavior more than motivation. When something is easy to reach, we do it more. When something is hard to reach, we do it less. So if we want to reduce bad habits, we must change our environment in a way that makes the bad habit less visible. For example, if you want to stop eating junk snacks, do not keep them on your table. Keep them far away or do not buy them at all. If you want to reduce social media addiction, do not keep your phone beside your bed. Put it in another room. When the cue is not visible, the habit weakens naturally. The next step is to remove cues. Cues are triggers. They tell your brain to start the habit. If you remove the cue, you stop the habit before it begins. For example, if you waste time watching TV, remove the remote from easy access or unplug the TV completely. If you waste time scrolling through your phone, turn off notifications. If you want to stop late-night snacking, keep unhealthy snacks out of sight. When the cue disappears, your brain forgets the habit. This is how we reduce the power of temptation. Another important idea is to increase friction. Friction means difficulty. When we want to stop a bad habit, we make it harder to do. This keeps your brain away from the habit. If you want to stop checking your phone every minute, put it in another room while working. If you want to stop spending money on things you do not need, delete your saved card details from online shopping sites. When a habit requires extra steps, you are less likely to do it. The more steps between you and the habit, the weaker the habit becomes. Finally, we invert the 4 laws. For good habits, we want obvious, attractive, easy, satisfying. But for bad habits, we want the opposite. We make the bad habit invisible, unattractive, difficult, and unsatisfying. We design our environment to guide our behavior in the right direction. We reduce the pull of bad habits by making them harder to begin and harder to continue. So just like we build good habits by making them simple, we break bad habits by making them complicated. Both good and bad habits are shaped by design, not luck. And when we take control of this design, we take control of our life. How the environment affects habits. Our environment is one of the most powerful forces that shapes our behavior. Many times we believe that our habits are controlled by motivation, discipline, or willpower. But in reality, our habits are mostly controlled by what is around us. The objects we can see, the things we can reach easily, the people we are surrounded by, and the situations we live in every day. These things create automatic behavior. We do not think much. We just respond. For example, if there is a phone on the table, your hand will naturally reach for it. If there are cookies on the kitchen counter, you will want to eat them. If your bed is close and comfortable, you may want to lie down instead of working. These actions do not come from deep thought. They come from what is available in your environment. This is why environment design is stronger than motivation. If you want to change your habits, do not start by changing yourself. Start by changing what is around you. If you want to drink more water, put a water bottle on your desk. If you want to study English daily, keep your notebook on your chair or pillow so you see it before you sit. If you want to exercise in the morning, keep your shoes next to your bed. When something is easy to see and easy to reach, it becomes easy to repeat. On the other side, if you want to reduce a bad habit, you make the environment less supportive for that habit. If you want to spend less time on your phone, keep it in another room when you are working. If you want to stop eating junk food, do not keep it in your house. If you want to stop wasting time on TV, remove the remote from the table and keep it in a drawer in another room. When the habit is not visible, your brain forgets about it. When the habit is not easy to access, you feel less desire. The environment is like a silent guide. It pushes you towards certain actions and pulls you away from others. If your environment is designed properly, good habits become natural and bad habits become weak. That means the best way to help yourself is not through force, but through arrangement. You do not fight with yourself. You simply make the right actions easier and the wrong actions harder. When you understand how strongly your environment influences your behavior, you understand that real change is not only inside you. Real change can also start outside you by adjusting the world around you in a gentle and smart way. Remove cues. A cue is a signal that tells your brain to start a habit. It is like a small trigger. Sometimes we think we have a strong bad habit, but the truth is that the habit is only strong because the cue is always in front of us. If we remove the cue, the habit loses power. Many bad habits begin before we even realize it, because the cue appears automatically in our environment. For example, if your phone is next to you, the screen lights up, and you see a notification, your brain will immediately want to check it. The real challenge is not the phone itself, it is the notification cue. If you remove the notifications, the habit to check again and again gets weaker. You do not feel the same pull. So removing cues is about controlling what appears in front of your eyes. If you want to stop eating junk food, you do not keep chips or sweets on the kitchen counter. If you want to read less social media news, you delete the app icon from your home screen. If you want to avoid spending too much time on television, you can unplug the TV or put the remote in another room. When the cue disappears, your desire decreases. Bad habits often happen without thinking. You see something, then you do it. So when you stop seeing it, you stop doing it. This makes the habit weaker without any willpower needed. That is the difference between trying to fight a habit and designing around a habit. Fighting uses force and stress. Designing uses strategy. Removing cues is a smart way to break automatic reactions. When you remove the cue, you protect your mind before the habit begins. This keeps your energy free for the habits you want to grow. And this naturally leads to the next step. Because after you remove the cue of a bad habit, the next helpful method is to add difficulty. We make the bad habit harder to do.
Increase friction. Increasing friction means making a bad habit more difficult to perform. When something is hard to start, you naturally do it less. Our brain always looks for the easiest path. If a habit needs more steps, more effort, or more time, our mind becomes less interested. So instead of fighting the habit with force, we can make the habit inconvenient. We can make it uncomfortable to begin. Even a little extra difficulty can reduce the habit. For example, if you waste time scrolling on your phone, put it in another room while you work. Now you have to stand up and walk to get it. That extra step is friction. If you eat too many snacks, do not keep them near you. Put them somewhere hard to reach, like on a high shelf or inside a closed box. When you have to get up, move a chair, or climb to reach it, your mind will think twice. If you want to stop watching television, remove the remote from the table or remove the batteries. Small obstacles can change your behavior. Friction works because habits are sensitive to effort. Even 1 or 2 extra steps can make a big difference. If something becomes 10 seconds harder, your brain will avoid it. If something becomes 10 seconds easier, your brain will choose it. This is how powerful friction is. We usually think that stopping a bad habit requires a lot of willpower. But willpower is weak when the temptation is close and easy. Friction is stronger than willpower. When the habit becomes harder to access, the temptation becomes smaller. When something is not instantly available, the behavior slows down naturally. So instead of telling yourself, "Stop doing this," you build a small wall between you and the habit. You create distance. You add extra steps. You make the bad habit slow, uncomfortable, and effort-heavy. This is how you weaken it without stress. Now that we understand how to remove cues and increase friction, the final step is to reverse the 4 laws, so that a bad habit not only becomes difficult, but also becomes unattractive and unrewarding. This final method is called inverting the 4 laws.
Invert the 4 laws. We learned that good habits become stronger when we make them obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. But when we want to break a bad habit, we do the opposite. We reverse the same 4 laws. We make the bad habit invisible, unattractive, difficult, and unsatisfying. This is called inverting the 4 laws. It means we use the same system, but in the opposite direction. Instead of building a habit, we weaken a habit. To make a bad habit invisible, we hide the cues. We remove the reminders from our environment. If something is not in front of our eyes, we think about it less. This breaks the automatic reaction. To make the habit unattractive, we remind ourselves of the negative impact of that habit. We change the story in our mind. Instead of thinking that the habit gives comfort, we think about how it slows our growth.
When a habit loses its emotional reward, it loses its power. To make the habit difficult, we increase friction. We add steps between us and the action. We create small obstacles that make the habit tiring to do. Even a few extra seconds of effort can stop the habit before it starts. And to make the habit unsatisfying, we remove the positive feeling that used to follow the habit. We do not reward ourselves after a bad habit. We do not allow it to feel enjoyable. We make the experience feel empty or disappointing. So, just like building a good habit is about gentle design, breaking a bad habit is also about gentle design. We are not fighting against ourselves. We are not forcing discipline. We are simply adjusting our environment and our thinking. We make good habits easy and rewarding, and we make bad habits difficult and disappointing. This balanced method makes change more peaceful and more permanent. Now, this completes the 4 laws and their reverse versions. We have learned how to create good habits and how to weaken bad habits. Next, we will continue to explore how systems are more important than goals and how habits shape long-term success. Closing. We have now learned how small habits shape our life, how identity builds strong behavior, how the 4 laws help in creating good habits, and how inverting those same laws helps us weaken bad habits. The message of Atomic Habits is simple but strong. Change does not happen in one day. Change happens through small steps repeated every day. You do not need to be perfect. You only need to keep moving forward one small action at a time. With small daily habits, your future will slowly grow into the kind of life you want. Thank you for listening to this session. Remember, improvement is not a race. It is a gentle journey. Let every day become one small vote for the person you want to become. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep taking small steps. Your future self will thank you for the